Hi, my name is Melissa Giles, and this is labeled Are You Being Led by Wisdom? This is a reading added with Ecclesiastes chapter 2. And so I'm just going to go ahead and read. I said in my heart, Come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. But behold, this also is vanity. I said to laughter, It is mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? I search with my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on fully, till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their lives. What's that basically saying? That basically is saying like we hang on, so our heart is being guided by wisdom, which is God, right? And then the folly is like the discontent of our life. The folly is like, instead of listening to my heart and going for wisdom, I'm going to continue going in the drama, and I'm going to continue going in discontent and doing those things that we don't want to do, right? And but he's saying, until I might see what is good for the children of man to do under heaven during our few or short days of life, like we could die tomorrow, like we don't know how long our lives are going to be, right? So he says, I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. And this is Proverbs 18:11, and I'm just going to skip over here because it totally goes with let's see what 18:11 says. 18:11. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall is his imagination, and that's our inner being, right? It's who you are. Okay, so what it's saying here is, I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks and planted them all kinds of fruit and trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves. I had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had before me in Jerusalem. And that's like, we can say, like, put that in our time, because we grew, right? Like, we're growing in who we are. And that's what he's talking about, that this is his life during this time. And like, if we think about our life right now, like, we're growing within ourselves, we're growing within our thinking. So therefore, we're building houses, we're getting better houses, we're getting better cars, we're getting that. He's talking about material stuff, but those are things that he did because he was getting better on the inside. He was confronting his being. And he's going to say that it was all meaningless because we can't take anything back. However, that's what he's talking about right now. So Proverbs 18:11 was saying, talking about the inner being too, of who you are. You can go back and read it if you want to. Okay, so I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. So like, we may, get to a better point rather than, like from our brothers and sisters or from even our friends, that's also what he's saying, like what he said up here. I also had great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had before me in Jerusalem, like more than like my friends or, my family. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of the kings of provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines to delight of the Son of Man. So like, he was spoiling people with his wealth. So I became great and surpassed all over who were before me in Jerusalem. He was popular. Like, there's plenty of other proverbs that I can jump to, but I'm not going to. There's about money, but he was popular. So also my wisdom remained in me. So he was smart about it. He didn't go out and do anything stupid. He was generous. He was serving God. That's the first commandment. Love your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul. And whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. My heart found pleasure for all of my toil, meaning he found his purpose, and that was his reward. Not the possessions, not the things that he had, but it was his heart. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and striving after the wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. So I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who comes after the king? Only what has already been done. All right, my foot's falling asleep. Then I saw that there was more gain in wisdom than in folly, because you're discovering yourself. You're being taught who you are within your attitude and complaining, and just like who you are as a person, your character, right? Okay. As there is more gain in light than there is in darkness. So, right, there is, like, if you're in a dark place in your life, you know, I only speak for myself, okay? I can only speak how this book has helped me. So being in a dark place in my life, I would rather be happy and joyous and free, than to be miserable and like stuck and isolating and like all that kind of stuff. And, I would rather live in the light than live in the darkness. And I would rather be comfortable with who I am on the inside rather than have possessions. I'm not a materialistic person. I never have been. The wise person has his eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. So he's like saying, are you really going to search for wisdom? Are you really going to change your character? Are you really going to trust God, to help you change your character? But the fool walks in darkness. Proverbs tells a lot about a fool and a wise man. It's a slap in the face. And yet I perceive that the same event happens to all of them, because we all die, right? And he made us fools so that we may become wise. Then I said in my heart, what happens to the fool and what happens to me also? Why then have I been so very wise? And I said in my heart that this also is vanity, completely meaningless, because we all die. For of the wise as of the fool, there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come, all will have been long forgotten. How the wise dies, just like the fool. I love that saying. That's one of my favorite sayings here in Ecclesiastes. Because who are you to judge? How do you know you're wise? Like, God is the only one that can tell you that you're wise or teach you to be wise. And even if you think you're wise, you're still a fool if you're not obeying the 10 commandments, in which you would be perfect, and there's no such thing. Okay, so he says, so I hated life because what is done under the sun was grievous to me, for all is vanity and striving after the wind. I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me. So if you're miserable at what you're doing, like you push everybody away and you're really, really alone, then who are you going to leave your material stuff to? And then like it becomes meaningless. So why you even worked all your life? Because you're now giving it away to a stranger or to be auctioned off or whatever, because you've pushed everybody out of your life because of your character. I will go over here to Proverbs 18, 11, and 12. Okay, let's see. So, I have it all. So I'm just going to read this a little bit, and then I'll read the Proverbs. Actually, let's do it right now. So Proverbs 18, oh yeah. Oh, well, we already did it. Okay, so 12 would be, before destruction, a man's heart is haughty, but humility comes before honor. And that's exactly what he's saying here. I hated all my toil in which to toil under the sun, seeing that I must sleep to the man who came after me. And who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will be the master of all which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This all too is vanity. So he's just talking about your character and who you are. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun. Because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed to someone who did not toil, who didn't work for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for a person than he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God, right? Most definitely. For apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, he has given the business of gathering and collecting only to give to one who pleases God. This also is vanity and striving after the wind. You know, it's not easy to find who we are, right? It's not easy to dissect your character. You know, it's hard work to do that. And it's hard work to find out, like, you know, you're not being the character that you were made to be. Yet we can't really like blame ourselves for it because that's what we were taught, you know. And so that's why everything kind of makes it also meaningless, because we just die. So why should we not just be happy? You know, why do we have to live in such misery, is what the teacher is saying. And we don't have to live in that misery. You know, there comes a point in time in our life where we have to take responsibility for the things that we do. And we have to take responsibility for like our actions and our behaviors. Yeah. Yeah, can you give me about 10 minutes?
I was just letting you know I'm leaving.
Are you leaving for the night?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know so you could lock the door.
Okay, I'm gonna lock it.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, so, sorry about that. So yeah, it's just about like, you know, like, through wisdom, through learning, through guiding from God, then you find out who you are, and you find out who you are on the inside. And then knowing who you are on the inside, then you can start changing those things, and then, you know, your life gets better, and, you know, you ultimately find your purpose, right? You find your purpose, and then God helps you even more. And so that is chapter 2 of Ecclesiastes. And nothing was added or taken away from this, by the way. I just explain to you how it was interpreted to me through him. And yeah, so are you really being led by wisdom? You know, are you miserable in your life? Are you upset because you have a job that you don't like? Are you, you know, questioning what you should be doing? Like, all of those things is something that we should ask ourselves on a daily basis. And have faith that God will lead us and take us to where we need to go. Yeah, so anyway, that's what chapter 2 is about, and I really love this book, and it really excites me to teach it. So moving on to chapter 3, and just remember that who we are on the inside will project the way that we behave on the outside. And knowing these things and being a fool myself after becoming wise because I didn't keep up with it was stupid. And we learn, right? So I'm not perfect. And I know that you're not perfect. And so, with that being said, we can be led by wisdom and be changed who we are in our character and still have flaws in a sense, because you have to be consistent in your thinking. When you become wise, it's daily work, not just motivational speaking. It's daily work in recognizing the person that you used to be and then the person that you are becoming. And it's daily recognizing the voice that is in your head saying, whatever that old behavior was, and then on my spiritual journey, that's the hardest part for me, is that if I just take one little step back, or if I let one little step get to me, then my whole world can be upside down for a month or 2 months or even 3 months. And so the constant reminder of what we read and what the word says is valuable to your thinking to stay upright so that you continue in the wisdom walk. It doesn't mean that because you backslide, a little bit or even a lot at times, that it makes you a bad person or it makes you somebody that's ungrateful or things of that nature. It just means that that person, is beating themselves up or forgot or whatever the case may be, whatever it is for you. I know that there's somebody out there who can relate to what I'm saying. So with that being said, this is chapter 2 of Ecclesiastes, and I appreciate you for watching. Thank you kindly. God bless.